Welcome everybody. We're talking with Brandon Beavers and with Amber Lehman. We're discussing various things about ropes and rope-based businesses. This whole process, the Rope-Based Business Collective, came about because Brandon Beavers and I were discussing that even after you become a rope access technician, that's really no guarantee that you're actually going to get a job or have work. So how do you make a go of becoming a rope access technician and turning it into a business? So over the last few weeks, we've met with various people. We met with an entrepreneur who has started multiple businesses over several years in different industries. We've spoken with a training manager from a large rope access company, gotten some great insight there. And we've heard from somebody who started not one, but two rope access businesses. And today we're going to delve into the topic of branding and marketing. So first, I'd like to just introduce Brandon Beavers to discuss his vision for this whole process, and he can introduce our guest.
Awesome, thanks. So I was on Facebook and I was just like, I saw this thing. It's like, if you surround yourself with 6 people who have no money, you'll be the 7th. Or if you surround yourself with 6 millionaires, you'll be the 7th. And in rope access, you shouldn't, and really anything, you should never stop learning. In our line of work, it could save a life. So I was like, I want to be around people who own businesses, who run businesses, managers, stuff like that. And I was like, let me just shoot big here. And I was like, hey, Louie, do you need a person to talk with? And maybe you can teach me a little bit and be a mentor. And she's like, I have a great idea. So we just started talking back and forth, snowballing about this rope-based business collective and just seeing who we could get on here. And yeah, it's really been fun over the past month and a half or two. I think we started this back in like November, just talking about it all. But anyways, some of the less fun for me stuff is accounting and marketing, but definitely need to know. So I'm super excited to get into some foreign areas of my knowledge. So Amber is a friend in the caving community, and I don't remember exactly where I met her, but it's some grotto or some cave trip. I don't know.
You're a friend in the caving business.
Yeah. But she is a marketing person. Don't know exactly what the title would be, but I would love to hear from you and see what you can teach me.
It's funny. I've had many titles, Brandon. Over the years, I've had many, many titles, but I have spent the majority of my career in marketing, probably 20 plus years at this point. I'm also a content writer and a graphic designer, so that ties in hand. But what I've been doing is improving marketing strategy for businesses. That's what I'm really good at. A couple of industries that I've worked in are nonprofit, engineering, safety and training, retail, education, IT, hospitality, and automotive. That was my last one. So I refer to what happened to me in 2020 as being pandemic. I was working for a local entrepreneur here who owns several businesses, but I went into business for myself with my own marketing firm. I was a 2-person show at the time and realized I had too many projects and not enough me's. So to make a very long story short, my company was purchased by another larger marketing firm that is now moving to, we are opening here an office here in Chattanooga. So I went from a team of 2 to now a team of 52. So that certainly does help in the design department, but that allows me to focus on building this business here and showing organizations and businesses why marketing is so important and why it is worth spending your hard-earned dollars on. I will ask Brandon do you want me to start with talking a little bit about branding? And
Yeah, that would be great. Convince me why I should spend my hard-earned dollars.
your hard-earned dollars. I'll first start with the question, and we're going to work our way back to how much should I spend? That is a question that no one can answer. If you actually go Google it, it'll tell you, the wonderful land of Google will tell you that you need to spend a certain percentage on marketing based on your sales. So I'm going to throw that out of the water, because the businesses that I think we're referring to now and we're working with now probably don't have huge sales goals or sales budgets. Probably not quite at the point where you can say, I have made a certain amount of dollars, now I can spend a certain amount on marketing. So we're going to just kind of blow that out of the water with a couple of different ideas on what to do and where to put your money based on a few different things. I never like to answer that. How much money should I spend? I don't know yet. We need to have a conversation. So where I'd like to start is with a few different aspects of marketing. Now, let me backtrack. When people hear marketing, they're like, oh, it's social media, it's digital, it's billboards. Marketing is such a huge umbrella. I like to use that term. And not everybody needs certain aspects of that marketing umbrella. Not everybody needs a Facebook ad, like you were saying, Brandon. Not everybody actually needs social media. I might be, my business partner might disagree with me, but not everybody needs social media. What I want to start with, and this is a conversation I've had with many, many people, is brand identity. And as a new business, if you are a new business in the rope access world or the ropey world, or however we want to define that, you need to define your brand. And that's just not a logo. And I hear people interchange brand with logo all the time. But a logo is not what I refer to as the actual symbol of your business. It's not the entirety of your brand. So when we actually think about brand, it encompasses more than just, like, I'm going to use the PMI logo, for instance. That logo is a logo in and of itself, but the PMI brand is so much bigger than just that one little logo. I'm trying to think of the quote by Jeff Bezos. Branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Great quote.
Yeah, I wish it was mine, but it's not. A prime example of that is my favorite one that I use is Coca-Cola, and everybody knows that logo. But what other people think about are those polar bears, the polar bears that pop out every Christmas. And I swear now, I don't think of polar bears as a dying breed. I just think of Coca-Cola. So that is the power of a brand.
Absolutely.
And I won't bore everybody with all of the details, but think of your brand as the face of your business. And if the biggest advice I would have to tell people in trying to figure out your brand is to actually talk to a professional marketer about that. If you have a friend who is in marketing, or if you have a trusted marketing firm, work with them to develop your brand, because you will not know without having a conversation with somebody who is a professional in this field how to do that. Prime example, even as a marketer, I swear to you, I could develop anybody's brand, but when it came to developing mine, I just sat there and pondered and like scratched my head for months before I figured out how to actually brand myself. And I've had 20 years of doing this. I'm like, oh, how do I do that? So I would suggest starting with that first. Really working with somebody who can help you identify who you are and what makes you stand out from other businesses.
That's a super good point, Amber. And kind of further to that, I want to add on to what the quote that you said, when your brand is what others say about you when you're not in the room. If you're not in the room, how do you know what they're saying about you?
So I'm actually going to toss it over. I'm going to actually let you keep talking, Lily, because I want to make this conversational. I don't want to just be the only one talking here. But how would you define the PMI brand?
Oh, no, I really, it's kind of a scary question because our brand manager is actually right here on this call with us. And so I don't dare get the answer wrong. But as you've seen, we've recently redefined our logo, and
Yep.
redefining our brand was really the foundation of doing that. What we were finding was that our previous logo wasn't really in keeping with what we felt our brand was. But I think that to me was the hardest part, was figuring out what people were saying about us versus, I mean, I've been with PMI for 25 years. So I know what I think of PMI, but that's not what really matters. What really matters is what others think of PMI. And so honestly, that, how do you tell what people are saying if you're not in the room?
I think, just from my experience, it was really nice seeing you out at caving events. When a company has their CEO take the time to go to a little 200 or to 1,000 people event and just walk around, shake hands, and there's also vendors out there and they're talking with them, building relationships. Um, that's why I felt kind of comfortable reaching out to you. Is like, that's the first encounter I had was, I just met you 10 o'clock at night walking around by a bonfire in caving vendor row. And so
I have to admit that was purely selfish, though. I mean, I guess that's kind of the beauty of being in this industry, right? Is that we're doing what we love, and so that's. But even then, I don't know what others are saying.
it seemed wholesome to me. So I've always liked PMI, but it was nice to put a name and face with PMI as a brand. So I like supporting businesses of people I know, and that helps to actually get out there and meet people.
You brought
Nice.
up a really good point, Brandon, and this has a lot to do with branding, is the relationship that you have with your clients. And you were explaining or talking about a face with a name, and what that does is establish trust, which is part of a brand. I am not going to refer somebody to a company that I don't trust, regardless of how awesome their brand is. But so a couple of questions that I ask clients, potential clients, which is a lot of the discussion that we're having here, is what do you define as a brand? And we've come up with all kinds of things, different answers from different people talking about it's the relationship I have with my customer, it's a product that our company produces, it's a name, a design, an identity, a logo, an icon, and my favorite is a user experience. So your brand is across every single avenue of your business, from Louis to the person that answers the phone at PMI, or a conversation that you have just walking down the street. The organization I work for now, Alison South, that I represent, and I say this to people who say, oh, well, I'm not in sales. I don't know how to sell myself. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to manage that. And I'm like, you're always selling, and you're always your brand. So Louis is the PMI brand to some extent. those are the things that I like to start with, and brand identity is just number one, especially with a new business. I see y'all nodding. I could go on and on about that, but my advice really is to hire a brand manager and somebody who knows how to do this. I had a conversation today with a potential, actually with a client that we did sign, and he said, we've been doing this, trying to establish their security firm, and they've been trying to establish their brand, and they just haven't been able to figure it out because everybody in the company thinks of something different. There's no consistency. So that kind of brings me to my next point, is once you have an identity, once you've identified yourself, then you have to have consistency throughout every single piece of your business. And these are just easy top of my head things, but everything from your tablecloth to your website, consistency across every single aspect of your business, and right down to what you are saying. So, and how you describe yourself. So that's really, my advice when it comes to thinking about brand. And, I could talk for hours and hours and hours, but I don't know, we want to just stick with that. What were those other items you were thinking about mentioning, Brandon? I could not actually make a list when you were like telling me what you wanted to chat about.
Yeah, all good. So I was curious about steps for developing your product. Like for me, if I'm selling a service of, hey, I do say window cleaning or just general maintenance on tall buildings, what would be some helpful steps for developing what I'm selling and getting it out there?
Well, the first thing that I would say is, so I'm going to use this as an example. It's an easy example. Mattress stores don't sell mattresses.
Okay.
What do they sell?
Sleeping experience.
There you go. So think of it that way. So as a so name a service that you do for me, Brandon. Pick one.
Okay, I'm cleaning high-rise windows.
Okay. So you're not actually selling window washing. You're talking to a building manager and you're like, oh, yeah, I sell window washing. He's gonna be like, yeah, you and everyone else. But what you're selling is his building looking pristine and looking awesome, and then getting better tenants in because his building is so kick-ass. Can I say that? So
You did, and it fits.
Okay. I was like, can I say that? So you're selling to the building manager that you are improving his building so that he can improve his tenants. He can get more tenants. He can make his building look very appealing to other tenants. So you're really not selling window washing, if that makes sense.
That makes awesome sense, and it seems like such a simple concept. It's just not something I had really thought of. So I was thinking about it because I'm in the process. I'm starting to expand and thinking about how I would open my own business, and I was like, how am I gonna market to these people? It was like, because there's like one or two people that I need to get a hold of at this huge building, and I need to figure out how to market that to them. So yeah, that's an awesome tip.
So to kind of piggyback on what you were saying with that, I'm gonna bring up an aspect of marketing that would actually, I think, help this audience. In addition to just understanding who you are and creating your own identity, but there is something called referral marketing. Probably familiar with it. I mean, the term referral, most people know. If you get one client that you've done an incredible job on or with, that one client could kick you into the next step or propel you to the next step of bigger and better clients because that person is referring you. This is a whole other aspect of marketing that we could go on and on and on about, but what has really worked for a lot of our clients, the clients that I'm working with now, not just getting that person to talk about you, but rewarding that person for talking about you. Think about what makes that client tick. So as an example, real estate agents, oh my word, okay? There are so many, and their whole business is really built on referrals. And this is a whole other aspect of marketing. And this particular aspect of marketing, I think would work, like I said, well for this, because you have clients that need a specific thing, a service, other than just a product. You do an amazing job on this building. It's sparkling, it's beautiful. Nobody got hurt on the job. You were really personable. Whatever you can think of that you did excellent. You did this great job. You go and talk to your building manager and you say, look, I know that you and I have this great relationship. I did this great job for you. Would you refer me to 5 other buildings and I'll reward you. I'll take you out to eat. We'll go have a couple drinks or whatever. But it's establishing a rapport with your clients that will get you that referral.
So do you just ask for a referral letter, or just ask them to, what am I expecting when I ask them for 5 referrals? Expecting them to call 5 of their friends, or is there a way to get this as a letter so that way you could give it out to other people?
That's a recommendation. A referral is actually, so I'll give you an example. You got your building manager, you've got 5 people. You want him to refer 5 people to you. And you're like, just spend some time, rack your brain. And then if you can think of anybody, introduce me via email these days. Usually it's email. Introduce me and just share a couple of sentences of why I did a great job. And most of the time they're really willing to do it. I mean, they want, if you've done a great job for them, they want to share that with other people. And I could email out some of those ideas to you, Brandon, and maybe to the group or to whomever, but that's really what it is. It's about talking to your clients and just saying, look, I'm trying to grow my business here. Do you know 2 or 3 other building managers you think I could do a great job for? Would you be willing to introduce me?
All right. That's actually really helpful. So to kind of backtrack, I know we're talking about rewarding, but first we need to get them. We need to target them. So how are we targeting? So if we're just sticking with high rise, how am I targeting these people? How am I getting what I'm selling to them and make them interested?
I love this question because there's so many different avenues you could go down, which is really what encompasses marketing altogether, is how do you get them in the front door, or how do you even get them interested to get them to the door to open the door? First and foremost, I would say if you do not have a website, you definitely need one. I have a friend who had a rope access company that had no website for the longest time. I would work with some of the building management companies here. If I think there's Second Story and there's a couple of other ones here that have quite a few buildings. This is going to go back to referral, but what you can do by targeting these building managers is find a building that you specifically want to work on, offer that building manager a complimentary example of what you do. Like, I'll wash the windows on half of your building. I'm just kind of tossing ideas out there. I'd be willing to get to wash half of these windows on this building for you, to show you what I'm capable of. If you like it, then we'll work on getting the rest of it done. Sometimes it does require giving away services for free. I've done that many times. I will give you a design. I will design your logo for you for free. If you like it, then we move further and then we start talking about money. Other avenues to get in the door, I'd join the chamber. I would
Can
join
you elaborate on that?
the Chamber of Commerce in Chattanooga.
So,
Personally, what's that?
I don't know much about the Chamber of Commerce. Who is in there that I might want to talk to? What am I going to get out of that?
So specifically, the Chattanooga Chamber is one of, if not one of the best chambers in the country right now. I have received dozens of referrals and 3 clients from the Chamber of Commerce. Lex Ryan is your guy. I will send, I'll write all this down for you, but for any business that would be listening to this, the Chamber of Commerce is where you start and you become friends with them, because they are your advocate for growing your business, because they want to see your business grow and stay in the area that you're in. So if you're in Chattanooga, if you're in Chickamauga, if you're anywhere in the country and you do not belong to your chamber, that is where I'd start, because business owners that you want to target are likely chamber members too. So I know it's the land of COVID and people are still kind of not quite getting back to normal yet, but specifically the Chattanooga market, that chamber is doing in-person in-person meetings right now. Kind of impromptu, and we do a lot of happy hours. But I would start with the chamber, honestly. Quite a few of the building managers here belong to the chamber. That's kind of where I'd start. Just
Yeah,
getting your face out there.
I think I will, because I'm sure it takes a while, and I've got a little while till I'm ready to start offering anything. But maybe getting a name with a face in right now would be a good start.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Fortunately for me, when I created my business, I already had a list of people and projects that I was working with. My question to you, Brandon, other than building managers, who would you like to target?
So the jobs that I would like, inspections, maintenance for buildings. Like I've done the Unum building here in Chattanooga, and I did pressure washing and brick sealing and window washing for that building with another rope access business here in Chattanooga. That was
Okay.
actually my first rope access job, and then I started branching out from there. But so things like that is what I'd like to approach. I would like consulting, going on jobs and helping them get, say, some engineers into a location that otherwise would be inaccessible, or electricians getting them to this place. So that would be another thing. So consulting, building maintenance, and general access would be the areas. So the people would be maybe construction firms, inspection agencies. I know certain dams or bridges have to be inspected every so many years. So attempting to get a hold of those people, and hey, if I do a good job, maybe I'm just on retention for that job. Every time they need it done, I'm just automatically on that schedule. And then building managers would be for the cleaning and maintenance side of things. Yeah, I believe that would be where I would start. I know we talked to Trask Bradbury a few weeks ago, and he mentioned diversity and diversifying in your company. That way, when you get pandemic, if you're in one line of work that just gets hit really hard, that you don't go under. So I know wind slowed down a little bit, but it probably 30%, but it didn't stop. But there's some people out there that they didn't have anything to do. Nobody was building new stadiums or new big event things because no events were happening. So there wasn't a big push. So yeah, I would want to do a few of these categories so that if something were to happen or one thing just doesn't take off like I expect it to, then I wouldn't go down. But those are the people, delve in a little too much. Those are the people that I would kind of want to talk to and find. I just don't know how I would go about that.
So I think, and that's a great question. Most businesses are new businesses think the same way. They know who they want to target. They just don't know how to get there. I know Louis probably heard of this, but the absolute beginning is a SWOT analysis. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. If you've never heard of a SWOT, that's what Google's for. But working with a consultant to identify those specific aspects of your business, because you can't have a plan to target those businesses without, number one, understanding what your threats are, meaning your competitors, what they're doing or what they're not doing, what you do differently. Let's say that, there's a couple firms in town, and I'm not assuming anything, but there's some firms in town that maybe don't have the same safety practices that you do. Identifying all of those items, that is key to moving forward with getting those clients that you want. This conversation could probably go all over the map, but my question to you at this point is, have you established the business and you're looking for clients, or you just know what clients that you want to establish the business?
I know what clients I want to establish the business. I have not actively established anything. I knew that I would have a year or at least a year before, I could actually start something. I have to save up, I have to learn. That way I don't get in over my head and then just fall flat on my face. So that's what these videos are for. This is a way to learn and also teach others as we go along. I think in this line of work, we should share what we know to a certain extent and help. But yeah, for your question, I know who I want to target, and I'm trying to build my business off of that.
That's a good question. A good answer to that question. This helps me direct this particular conversation in a different direction. Specifically for you, I would like to talk to you offline about how to do that specifically, because that is, I think we're putting the cart before the horse if we're going to talk about that. Targeting, marketing, whatever big umbrella you want to call it, from social to digital to media to all of that, cannot happen without the very first thing we started talking about, which is your brand identity and what you do and how you do it. The organization I work for, Alison South Marketing, and I'll give you all a little story, and this might be a little bit more info than you really need, but we're going to talk about it anyway. When I joined them, I had my hands not in, but I kind of knew almost every marketing firm in town, just because either I knew somebody who worked there or I dealt with them because of ad placement. fill in the blank. I had my finger on the pulse of almost every marketing firm here in town. And the firms were picking and choosing certain aspects of marketing. So like digital or social media, or let me rebuild your website. And so the reason I actually joined this organization, Alison South, is that they see marketing in a completely different way, which is what I invite people to do, is start thinking about marketing in a way that is full circle. You start with your brand, you extend your brand, you start with your brand identity, you make sure it's consistent, you work with it across every aspect of your business, and then you can start putting those building blocks of graphics and colors and how I define my business and my 30-second sales pitch. You can start putting all of that together once you started at a certain point in that circle. I know you guys wanted me to talk about, how do we do our own marketing compared to hiring a marketing firm? And I've got to be 100% honest. If you got the money, hire a marketing firm. I think PMI is probably in a position where they can have an internal marketing team because you're a business that's big enough to do that. I like to tell people, don't do what you don't know how to do. If you know rope access, do rope access. If I can't do what Tim does. I can't. I don't actually do rope access. So I would never even attempt it because I don't know. But I can help somebody market that business because I know it well enough. But I want to ask you a couple of questions because I need to stop talking. Actually, I want to ask Louie a question.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. And I might be putting your brand manager on the spot too. What aspects of marketing for PMI work really, really well for you?
I think PMI is pretty fortunate in that we've been around for 40 years, and most of us, or not most of us, but many of us in the business are, well, I'll say in the business. And so many of the people in the company live and breathe the philosophy, the products, the experience, and that's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Because once you embody it so much and it becomes such a natural part of the brand and the company and the people and the individuals are all kind of interwoven, it's easy to lose vision. It's easy to lose definition of what those things are. But I do think that and they say that, don't they, that your greatest strength is your weakness, and I think in our case it's definitely true. But I think that one of the things that is interesting as you talk is that you've obviously come from different industries and you've done marketing in different worlds, and you see the commonalities and the consistencies of the kinds of things in marketing that are the same across industries, and yet there are differences. Is there a way to, like Brandon, for example, he may work locally in the Chattanooga market, or he may work all over the country, or for that matter, all over the world, because that's how rope access works. And so how much does marketing philosophy and process change by what industry you're in and perhaps even your locality?
That's a great question. I'll be the first to tell you, international marketing is not, that is not something that I could actually speak with any authority on. But what I can say is, you need to identify your market first. So if Brandon is working in Chattanooga, his market is very different than Atlanta. Lafayette So Lafayette is very different than Chattanooga. So yeah, I see you nodding. So understanding and doing some research on every market that you're in would be my advice. What that looks like, that's kind of an offline conversation, but the consistency, okay, we're going to use Subaru, my favorite brand, as an example. So Subaru, what do you think of when you think of a Subaru?
Outdoor, adventure.
Safety.
Safety. So an interesting thing happened with Subaru a couple of years ago. Their demographic, now Subaru is an international company, okay? Their demographic started to change. Outdoor, adventure, they're all-wheel drives, they're great cars, they're reliable, people drive until they drive them in the ground, you know, all these things. So all of these things are sort of an international thought, a common theme internationally. Subaru was actually not marketing the safety factor of the car as much about 20 years ago. They switched that focus to safety, started doing their commercials, started ad campaigns around safety, and what magically happened is the demographic changed from the 20 to 30-year-old female market to the 60 to 80-year-old female market.
I wonder why female.
Because we're safe, Brandon.
Well, it's not a truck. Think about it. It's not a truck. It's kind of round. It's cool and sexy looking. It's a little feminine looking car. It's not boxy anymore. If you look at an Outback 30 years ago and an Outback now, not the same looking car. But all of the commonality of a Subaru, so you know, your outdoors, your adventure people, all of that stayed. But then they refocused on safety, and suddenly their demographic went to an older market. It was like, oh, how did that happen? So, you know, it's kind of a roundabout way to answer your question, where number one, you need to identify your market in each of these areas if you can, or you find a common aspect across every market. And I can think of one right now is safety. Safety is it's a common aspect across every market. You want to be a safe company. The the other answer to that would be happiness. Happiness is a common theme for almost any person in any market, anywhere in the world. So I'm going to use your window washing business. You're not selling window washing, you're selling clean windows, which makes people happy. So kind of start thinking in terms of that, where it's a common aspect across your entire market. Does that actually answer that question, or did I sort of like skirt around it like I sounded like I did? I'm like, oh my God, I sound like a politician right now. I can't even answer a question.
Well, I think that as we started talking about how much marketing philosophy and process changes depending on your industry and locality, I think that prompted some thoughts that Brandon was gonna, did you have something that you wanted to add on to that, Brandon?
Say that one more time. I was reading.
That's okay.
A note here.
We had started here talking about the marketing philosophy and process and how it changes depending on what you do or where you do it. And when we first started talking about that, I saw you kind of lean forward like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily say that the company that I'd like to start is going to be Chattanooga. I would like to say this region. So for this region, there's not many reputable or decent sized companies that do what I would be offering. And the ones that are, like with ATS out of Atlanta or Marietta, Brandon Powers works there. They don't, as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem that they handle some of the smaller buildings. They don't have enough people or time to delve into some of those smaller things. They have these huge contracts all over the country. I would say my area would be Atlanta to Nashville, Murfreesboro, Knoxville, maybe to Huntsville, basically big building cities. So I would love to do things in Chattanooga and make that part of the brand. I'm from the Southeast. This is my home, and I would like to take care of it. But that is my region, and I was wondering, does my marketing strategies change because I'm not just marketing Chattanooga, I'm marketing the Southeast.
You said something to me. I should have written it down. Chattanooga is my home. And what did you say after that? I want to make it.
I'm from the Southeast. This is my home, and I want to take care of it. I did write it down. I thought it was
Okay.
awesome.
Because yeah, okay, you got it too. And I want to take care of it. So you have the beginning of your marketing plan right there. The Southeast, now you don't have to say Chattanooga. The Southeast is my home. That allows people to relate to you. So keeping it in the Southeast and with your beautiful accent, and Louis knows my husband's beautiful accent, that helps. So now you're relatable. Southeast is my home. Oh man, it's my home too. Yeah, I love that. And then boom, you've already established trust with somebody just by saying that this is your home.
I like it. When I said it, I was like, that felt really nice.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
And it's genuine. That's genuinely how you feel. So now you are marketing yourself, establishing trust, telling people that this is my home. Truthfully, if you start talking about a region, let me backtrack a little bit with that. If you start being area specific, I'm going to play my own devil's advocate here, is if you start being area specific, Southeast, we've run across this problem with the Southeastern Cave Conservancy. You've now pigeonholed yourself and not allowed yourself to actually grow outside of that.
What's wrong with pigeons?
That was good. I was like, that was quick, man. That was super quick. I was like, I said that. But just keep that in mind. If your region is the Southeast, or if you have that in your name, or that is your target focus, then make it your target focus and bring it home just like you did. This is my home. I want to be here. But remember though that it could limit you to other things. I'll give you a prime example. Just some things to think about. I'm like spitting off the cuff here, y'all. So with Southeastern Cave Conservancy, that was founded 30 years ago, not in a million years did they think they were going to buy a cave outside of the Southeast. You're like, ooh, you're all like, what are we buying now? But what we have been offered are many caves outside of the Southeast. We can't really buy them because Southeast is in our name. So then we start thinking, maybe we need to be the National Cave Conservancy, which has sort of been going, it's been a topic of discussion, a debated topic of discussion. But just that's an example of, you may end up shooting yourself in the foot 20 years from now, 10 years from now, when your focus has been the Southeast. Maybe I can't go national now because people think I'm in the Southeast. I'm not saying do one or the other. I'm just saying just some things to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely, as currently, I would like to stay as much as I can in the Southeast. It allows me to be home more. And for people who don't know me, I've got a nearly 1-year-old and 4-year-old, and I was really happy when COVID hit and I got to be home for 6 months and watch all the great things happen with my newborn. So, like a first year of marriage, I was gone 8 months, and that was rough. So I would like to stay more regional currently, but possibly rebrand in the future. I don't know how hard that would be to do, but and like I've spent 20 years helping this region, I would like to expand and help everywhere else that I can. Not said as elegantly, but that's
So
why I have marketing.
you brought up two really good points. A 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. So when you start talking about, and now this conversation is really growing. This is actually turning into something instead of just me talking. So those are the types of things a marketer is going to ask you. What's important to you? What's the number one most important thing in your life? My 1-year-old and my 4-year-old. And why? Oh, those are my kids. Of course. Everybody, I love my kids. Okay, so that moves the conversation into, I want to remain in the Southeast, and this is why. And then again, we're going to go back to, now that's made me relatable. Now that's made me establish trust with somebody because my business is here in the Southeast. The business I currently work for, Alison South Marketing, everybody always thinks South is our location. It is. But our founders are Mark, Allison, and Cynthia South. So her last name is South. So we've kind of played on that. And we've focused on location because of her last name. And it's the same thing. You want to stay in the Southeast? That's a marketable aspect of your business, is the Southeast. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I know you only have about 5 more minutes here.
I do.
One thing I wanted to talk about was customer retention. So we've gotten the job, we've gotten the client, they're happy. Is there anything we should know, just in a little tidbit of time, about customer retention, tips and tricks or ideas?
Specifically for your business, I don't know if I can speak with authority on that one, but generally speaking, always make them want you. So always make them think that your service to them is very valuable and they can't do it themselves. And don't piss them off. I mean, in marketing, so specifically in marketing, we could build a website and say, have a nice day, but to retain that client, we also have to say, hey, we can build your website, but we can also maintain it, we can update it, we can change it when you need it. And by the way, we can create these 5 other things for you that we know you don't know how to do. So I would say making sure all your clients are happy all the time. Of course, there's always going to be that one, but also making yourself valuable to them, not convincing, but trying to think of a better word for that, but just making sure that your service is valuable to them all the time. You will not lose customers if you go down that route.
And then I think lastly is just, do you or Louis, your brand manager, yourself, have any topics that you want to hear in the future? I know we've forgotten to do this a time or two, but most people be more interested in learning and listening. They're hearing stuff that's relatable.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Brandon. I think that as we move forward, one of the things that I would certainly entertain would be if people want to send you or me or PMI a note and just make suggestions for topics that they'd like to hear, either related to marketing or specific aspects of marketing or anything really regarding the rope-based business. It's such a broad thing. When you talk about business, it means so many different things. And so I'm wide open to what people might want to hear about and would love to entertain ideas.
Awesome. Well,
Yuri,
Louis, make
Yuri,
sure
go ahead,
Yeah.
Amber.
Sorry.
that Louis, make sure that Brandon gets that statement that he said that he forgot he said, because you wrote it down.
No doubt, no doubt. Yuri, you have something to add?
I just want to add, today I heard about like website. It's one of the necessities. So probably because right now a lot of no code projects are pretty accessible and they have reasonable pricing. Maybe speak about these technologies, about certain technologies that help you to establish your business in the web and help to build the communication channels with your customers and something for long-term communications. That
That's
might
a super cool
pretty
idea.
interesting and really easy to cover, I think.
Yeah, and it would make the possibilities more affordable for people who are rope access technicians and businesses just trying to get started.
Yeah. Most of these things, they seems hard and complicated, and they actually are when you're going to fight for the, small shares of percentage efficiency, and it is really important for big companies. But just at the beginning with simple tasks, they might be really easy to start, and almost anyone can learn how to deal with it.
Great point. Great point. Amber, do you have any closing thoughts?
I have a lot of closing thoughts. I don't have time. I don't have time for all the closing thoughts. I think beginning businesses, because the lack of money really and resources, will do a lot of the marketing on their own. And there are a lot of resources online that can help you do that. Even simple tasks, like Yuri was saying. There's lots of things that the business owners can do on their own. And I think they should start on their own. And this is going to be, I don't know how this is going to sound, but start on your own so you know how hard it is. Start on your own. You're going to know how hard it is, and then you'll hire somebody else to do it. But I'm available for questions to you, Brandon, to anyone. You can give me a call. You've got, I think you've got my number. I don't know, but
I know how to contact you.
you do. You know how to find me. You know how to find me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all tonight. It was really fun.
Super
Thank
cool.
you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Brandon, do you have any closing thoughts?
The only thing is I really appreciate you coming on here. I've learned a lot, and I know who to come to when I finally do get this going and off the ground. But I appreciate you coming on here and, teaching me and everyone else who watches this video.
Super cool. Well, thank you all for joining us today, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Thanks.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
All
Bye.
right, see ya.